Hey guys, so remember when I said I was tempted to give Supernaut a 10 out of 10, but I settled on a 9.5 because there's a few Sabbath songs, a small handful that I consider better than Supernaut? Well, let me tell you guys, track 5, Snowblind, is one of those songs. This is just literally not one of the best Black Sabbath songs, but one of the best songs of all time. No exaggeration. It's musical perfection. And this really is the title track of the album because they were going to name the album Snowblind after their cocaine use. I mean, as a reference to their cocaine use. And that's hilarious. I mean, as fucked up as these guys were, they were so self-aware in their fucking cocaine stupor that not only did they write and record a song about cocaine use, which is Snowblind, but they wanted to title the album over it. So you can kind of think of Volume 4 as a fucking concept album about doing cocaine, which is freaking hilarious. I mean, and the fact that this is the best song on the album, in my opinion, or okay, it's debatable, but the fact that this is like the most intense and most inspired song on the album is just hilarious because it's just a song about doing fucking cocaine. So you could see where their priorities were at. But nonetheless, they were going to call the album, I should have mentioned this before in the history section, but they were going to call the album Snowblind. And when the producers and record companies or whatever the fuck, when they got hold of that, they shut the band down really fast. So like, yeah, there's no way you're calling the fucking album Snowblind. So they had to settle on something generic, and I guess they just went with Volume 4. But man, what a fantastic track. I mean, honestly, everything about it is perfect. Tony Iommi's guitar solo at the end is just one of his best, just one of the most epic guitar solos. The riffs on this song are there's two main riffs. Actually, there's an amazing riff on the bridge. So there really are 3 incredibly creative riffs on this song. You got the opening riff that just ushers in the epicness with the like no bars held. It just comes bursting in with that, and it just really sets up you feel something epic is about to happen. And then you get the main riff of the song with the just a really groovy, really kind of like harkening back to stuff on Master Reality, more of like headbanging kind of stuff. Or, yeah, maybe not, but, it's like less sludgy, less doomy, and more of just like a heavy headbanging riff. And then you got the riff on the bridge, which is just... So you got a song, it's about 5 minutes in length, with 3 of, like, the best metal riffs of all time. So, there you go, that's already a plus. Second of all, you got, like, one of the greatest breakdowns ever, where Ozzy's singing... My eyes are blind, but I can't see. And the band's playing like fucking hell in the background. And honestly, that part's just so epic. So, I want to say inspirational. It just sounds like so much emotion went into that part. And it's funny because, again, it's about doing cocaine. So, I don't know. Make of that what you will. But honestly, one of the best breakdowns in Sabbath history. One of the most, I get goosebumps every time. And again, I mentioned the solo at the end is just one of Tony Iommi's best. There's like that crazy breakdown in the middle with the up-tempo riff. Honestly, like, I don't know what else there is to say about it. Let me check my notes. Yeah, it's just one of the quintessential Sabbath songs. And, I have a lot of amazing memories about this. This was actually one of the first Black Sabbath songs that I consciously heard. Like, I had heard stuff like Iron Man, Paranoid, all like the big hits from the radio. But when I first heard this song, it was the first moment where I consciously thought, oh my God, what band is that? That's fucking amazing. I got to get into this. And the first time I heard it, I'll never forget. I was about 8 or 9 years old. I think 8. And we were camping. And it was just me and my dad in the car. We were driving up to the park store where it was a tradition. We would get ice every day to fill the coolers. And then he'd buy me like an ice cream. So, like, we were actually coming back from that. I'm eating this fucking ice cream. It was delicious. And then this song comes on, and it melted my 8-year-old face and balls off. I mean, it was just incredible. And we just sat and listened to the song. And my dad was a big Black Sabbath fan, but he had never had Volume 4. So, like, he hadn't really heard Snowblind that much. He'd seen them play live back in the day when Ian Gillan was fronting the band. And I guess they didn't play Snowblind. He didn't know of the song. And he said, oh my God, that's like one of the best fucking songs of all time. And for so many years, these were the days before like I really knew how to use the internet. I mean, this would have been like like 2004, some shit, like 2003, 2004. So like I couldn't just simply search the song title and like see Black Sabbath song, and we forgot the lyrics, and it was just a fucking manhunt to figure out what this song was. And then finally, when I got into Black Sabbath, which was probably about 4 years later, and I got all their albums, then when this song came on, I'm like, oh my god, that's it, that's the fucking song. And it ended like a 4 or 5 year search to hear this song again. And it was just a fantastic feeling. And yeah, that's my story behind the song. It's a really personal song to me. It's meant a lot to me throughout my life. Not that I do cocaine or anything, but just whenever I hear this song, like I get the waves of nostalgia. So yeah, comment below, is this one of your favorite Sabbath songs? Is it just me? When they played this live back in 2016, I was just basking in the glory. But yeah, Snowblind, hands down a 10 out of 10. One of the best songs ever made. Hands down. All right, guys, back in the fucking office. I got kicked out of the basement, so we're back in this dingy, blue, depressing room. But what a fitting place to talk about one of the darkest, sludgiest, most fucking depressing Black Sabbath songs, Cornucopia. And it's just an ironic title, because when you think of the word cornucopia, you think of like a bountiful harvest, everyone's having a party, enjoying a delicious meal. This song's the complete opposite. Instead, they should have called it fucking, I don't know what they should have called it, but it feels like you're having a feast of rats in a fucking post-apocalyptic nuclear wasteland. I mean, with that initial riff, with the sludge of it, the just one of the heaviest, again, one of the sludgiest, doomiest riffs. Again, kind of harkening back to Master of Reality. This really was kind of a transitional album. So you're going to get songs like this, and then you're going to get songs like, like Snowblind and Supernaut that are pushing the band forward. But I find like now that we're into the second half of the album, the songs do feel a lot more like Master of Reality, and really just harken back to that sound, especially on this song, Cornucopia. And yeah, what a strange song. I mean, again, it goes through a lot of different changes. There's some really up-tempo sections in the middle, with one of my favorite Black Sabbath lines, "People think I'm heavy, they don't know what I hide." It's just such a suiting, such an introspective look at Black Sabbath's career from Black Sabbath that, I don't know, I always get the shivers when I hear that line. And some really complex drumming in the song too. And as legend goes, Bill Ward just couldn't get this song down. And apparently Bill Ward, there was always one song on every album where it was just so hard to play. There were a lot of like complex time changes and like, dynamics going on. And Bill Ward would often like give up and be like, fuck this, I can't play it. Like a notable example is on Into the Void. He just couldn't play that shit. But yeah, Bill Ward would go through these moods and he would quit, and I don't know, kind of drove the band crazy. But then he always ended up fucking nailing it. And he definitely nails it on this track. But yeah, like Bill Ward, it might have been the paranoia from the cocaine, but he actually thought the band was going to fire him because he couldn't play this properly, and the rest of the band was getting really fucking frustrated. Those hypocrites. But yeah, it ended up coming out as like one of the darkest Black Sabbath songs. Some really, really dark lyrics. Like there's a line that says, kill someone, no one, take a life, it's going cheap. Kill someone, no one will weep. Just some really, really depressing lines like that. And I don't know if I mentioned this yet, but there's a great break in the middle where like this gong comes in, and it feels like it has such an expansive sound, and it kind of feels like there's like a void opening up leading into the heavens. Anyway, that's the imagery that comes to mind. It's some really mind-expanding stuff. So yeah, Cornucopia, great track, really underrated. And I think I'm going to be giving it an 8.5 out of 10. Coming in at track number 8, Black Sabbath throw us another curveball with the neoclassical acoustic guitar solo, Laguna Sunrise. And this song here, it's just a really, really interesting song on the album because nothing before it sounds anything like it. I guess you could compare it to Changes in the sense that it's, a very light, airy, well, Changes is pretty dark and depressing, so I can't really say that. But it's definitely, it doesn't have like the punch of the other songs on the album. Really, it's just a gentle acoustic ballad. Perfect title for the song because the song really makes you feel like you're watching the sunrise, after having a nice relaxing sleep on the beach and then being awoken naturally by the beautiful sunrise. And that's pretty much how Tony Iommi wrote it. He was staying up all night and, they were there in LA doing a lot of coke, as I've mentioned multiple times in this video. And he just saw the sunrise coming up and he pulled out his acoustic guitar, started playing. And this is what came out of it. This beautiful, gorgeous 3-minute acoustic guitar workout. And it's accompanied by some amazing string arrangements, some great keyboard playing. That really, there's some really great swells of emotion in the song, but the core component of the song really is that like repeating guitar motif, which is very repetitive. And that can be a negative because the song does go on for about 3 minutes. And I think they could have cut it back a bit to about 2 minutes because it really is just the same thing repeated over and over again. But it is very beautiful. I've always enjoyed this track. Just could have benefited from being trimmed down a little bit. But yeah, overall, really good stuff. We're not talking about Steve Hackett's intro to Blood on the Rooftops, if you know Genesis, or anything complex like that. So I don't really have that many high expectations for a Tony Iommi classical solo. But for what it is, it's really great. And I think I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Just, beautiful stuff. And then we got track 8, the really, I don't want to say forgettable because that sounds pretty negative, but like this song really flies under the radar, St.Vitus Dance. And, for good reason. It's not really a very experimental Black Sabbath song. It's just a quick 2-minute kind of jaunty up-tempo rocker on the album. It feels kind of out of place, to be honest, but then again, it's volume 4. It's their most transitional album, so every song kind of feels out of place. But yeah, honestly, there isn't much to this song. It's just this, this repetitive riff. Pretty upbeat for a Black Sabbath song. Pretty, up tempo, and yeah, it's just like a nice little rocker. There's nothing wrong with the song, but up till this point in their career, it probably is their weakest song, other than FX, obviously. But yeah, just a nice little rocker, and just. Again, like this and Laguna Sunrise are just two kind of, I guess you can call them filler tracks, but they really aren't. I mean, they do add to the album, but yeah, like you won't really miss much if you like skip out on St.Vitus Dance, but it's a good 7.5 out of 10 track. Always enjoy it. Well, I don't want no Jesus. Tell me what it's all about. No black magician telling me to cast my soul out. We've arrived at the final track on the album, and let me tell you guys, Black Sabbath does not disappoint with the 9th and final track, Under the Sun / Every Day Just Comes and Goes. This song, honestly, guys, no word of a lie. This may be the greatest Black Sabbath song of all time. Or at least it's really close. Like, it's definitely in my top 10. Maybe even cracking the top 5. I mean, it's just the perfect song. And it gives Snowblind a really strong run for its money for best song on the album. I mean, just everything that's fantastic about Black Sabbath is embodied in this song. And you could really tell that this is probably one of the most influential metal songs of all time. And for good reason. I mean, it's just incredible from start to finish. And wow, guys, that's all I can say. Right off the bat, I'm going to give this song a score of a 10 out of 10. It's just one of my favorite songs of all time. This song never gets old to me, and I'm just so passionate about it. It's just one of the greatest metal songs. Oh man, just the way it starts off. Your jaw just hits the ground when you hear this riff. It is arguably the heaviest riff I've ever heard in my life. I mean, it sounds like the apocalypse. That's the only way I can describe it. Definitely drawing very heavily from the Master of Reality sound. Like this song could have easily been on Master of Reality, but oh man, it's just so much heavier than anything on Master of Reality with that opening. It feels like the weight of the world is just crushing your shoulders. One of the heaviest crushing riffs I've ever heard in my life. And then it picks up the tempo and it gets incredibly intense. And I mean, Ozzy comes in and his vocals are just phenomenal on this. And the lyrics from Geezer Butler are just incredible. They're about like free thinking. What's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, kind of like individualism, free thinking, really saying like, I don't need anyone telling me what to do. I can observe the world, come to my own conclusions. I mean, there's just some classic lines on this song. Like one of my favorites, I wrote it down here. It's, I don't believe in violence. I don't even believe in peace. I've opened the door. Now my mind's been released. Honestly, some of the greatest lyrics. And I don't know if I've mentioned this yet, but Geezer Butler is just one of my favorite lyricists of all time. I mean, his songs just hit so close to home about like the human condition and about how like fucked up the world is. And it's just, they can be depressing at times, but it really is a slap in the face. I mean, this was totally different from like the hippie, trippy shit of the late 60s. I mean, this is like, now we're in the 70s. It's like the post-industrial, post-fucking, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but you know what I mean? Like, you know, post-Vietnam, and no one was taking any bullshit anymore. So, you know, the world was just facing a grim reality at the time, and Black Sabbath fully embodied that shit. So yeah, incredible lyrics. And again, it's just so intense. The delivery in Ozzy's vocals are just incredible. And you got the chugging, driving riff in the background, the just pumping along. And then, oh my god, and then there's this, it's so unconventional. It completely changes, and this up-tempo riff comes in, and it gets into the everyday just comes and goes section, which, by the way, tell me what you think in the comments below, but I think the riff of this part of the song was stolen from Deep Purple's Flight of the Rat. It sounds exactly the same to me. And, you know, Deep Purple and Sabbath were pretty closely related bands. As we all know, Ian Gillan would end up being the vocalist in 1983 for Black Sabbath. So chances are they were listening to Deep Purple at the time. So I think Tony Iommi might have nicked that riff a bit, but he's totally forgiven because his riffs on this song are just incredibly creative. So we'll give him a pass on ripping off this one riff. But oh my god, guys, the everyday just comes and goes section is just some of the best Bill Ward drum fills of all time. I mean, you hear these drum fills, and it's just fucking insane. Like, honestly, he's right up there with John. Okay, I still prefer John Bonham, but as a heavy rock drummer, Bill Ward is probably my second favorite of all time, and that's saying a lot. I just love his drumming style. It's so hard hitting, so unconventional. It just feels like Bill Ward is someone who just like taught himself how to play drums and like never heard another song in his life, and he just fucking went out there and played drums in his own style. And I'm not trying to diss Bill Ward here, but like no one sounds like this guy. It's freaking incredible. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent now. The song brings it all back home with the original riff after the everyday just comes and goes section. And then another main highlight of the song, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, this fucking incredible climactic outro comes in. And it's just so fucking, it feels like you're descending slowly into hell. It's just such a slow build up, but it builds up into one of these another incredible Tony Iommi guitar solo. Oh man, it's just one of the best outros of all time. And that's why I was kind of hesitating early on in the video when I said Wheels of Confusion had the best outro. And then I remembered this song and I'm like, oh wait, it's not as good as Under the Sun. So yeah, just one of the greatest Black Sabbath moments is the last minute and a half of this, that fucking outro. and it just leaves you breathless at the end of the album. Just one of the best Sabbath songs, and the album was kind of going on a downward spiral with like Laguna Sunrise and St.Vitus Dance. Again, pretty good songs, but compared to the earlier songs like Snowblind, Supernaut, Wheels of Confusion, like you could tell it was like kind of subpar compared to those songs. But then the album goes right back to the top with arguably the best song, with Under the Sun. Definitely a 10 out of 10. No questions asked. And there we have it, guys. That's Black Sabbath Volume 4. A heavy metal masterpiece from start to finish. Just think about all the masterpieces on this album. Wheels of Confusion. You got Snowblind, Supernaut, Under the Sun. Those 4 songs alone are easily like, if not top 10 Black Sabbath songs, and like top 15, top 20. They're so fantastic. And then you got some unconventional Sabbath songs, like the beautiful Laguna Sunrise. You got Changes. And then like all the other great ones, Cornucopia, Tomorrow's Dream. It's just such a variety to it. And you could see how it really paved the way to their next album, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, which is like them going full out experimental mode, and arguably one of the best metal albums of all time. But Volume 4 in and of itself is one of the best metal albums. If you've been sleeping on this album and you haven't really given it that much of a chance because like you've heard all the mixed reviews about it, I suggest you go back to it, listen to it, and really just take it all in, because it's such an interesting album. And I just want to end this video by saying, fuck yeah, Bill Ward. This may be your best drumming performance. Because there's been so many, rewatching like parts of this review before I upload it to YouTube, like I noticed like I'm constantly praising Bill Ward, and it really made me realize this album might be his best performance, because like there's so many parts that just jump out at me with Bill Ward's playing on this album. Definitely one of the best. Definitely where Ozzy Osbourne's vocals started, developing into what we know today. Is that classic, higher register Ozzy Osbourne sound with that fucking intensity to it. And of course, Tony Iommi's riffs, the foundation of Black Sabbath. You can't go wrong. And Geezer Butler's incredible lyrics and incredible bass playing, one of the greatest bands of all time, hands down. Definitely, if not in my top 5, definitely in my top 6 bands of all time. And it's just a pleasure. It's been a pleasure talking about the album. So thanks for watching, guys. And celebrate the anniversary of this album, because it's I said 37th birthday. That was a slip of the tongue. I meant 47th birthday. It came out in 1972. So hopefully I don't get too much slack in the comments for that. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, guys, peace out. Thanks for watching. And I think I'm going to get back onto the Genesis review series for my next video. So stay tuned for that. No promises, though.